we are way ahead of everyone else. And that's why I added Parisi, because I knew I wanted to still be there because I was done with MMA. I was done with the UFC scene. I wasn't writing anymore. I wasn't in the know. And I was like, I want to be back in the know.
Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Okay.
Where do you do it?
Okay.
Oh, you start there.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
It's rolling. This is all in. We're keeping this. This is all in.
Okay. I'm Katalin Rodriguez-Ogren.
Okay. How many names?
Yes. It's even longer. That's the short version, you know? And I own POW Gym, the home of the Chicago Parisi Speed School. I'm located in downtown Chicago.
West Loop.
West Loop, Chicago.
West Loop, baby.
That's right.
Oldest gym in West Loop. Is that right?
Oldest gym in the West Loop. Oldest boutique gym in the city of Chicago.
Whoa.
First boutique gym to actually open up.
When?
2001.
That was the first boutique gym in Chicago, 2001. That's a trivia fact.
That wasn't like a yoga studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, I mean, this just seems like
Actual gym.
a boutique gym in every corner now. You would have made
Yeah.
your city,
Right. And now the days of the boutique gym are like dying, and it's
Really?
back to big. Yeah, it's like back to bigger clubs.
I'm very fortunate to live in the bubble of Northern Vermont because
Yes.
I have the most private gym maybe in
If it's not a
the
franchise.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a very private gym, 250 square feet.
that is very
People
private.
love it because they're like, this is my speed. It's
Yeah, this one-on-one.
very small. Yeah,
Yep.
only one-on-one. Literally can't fit more than 3 people in the room. So, wow. So that brings me to the first question of the Parisi podcast.
Yes.
When did you speak of Parisi?
So Parisi was something I added 10 years ago. So it's been a decade.
Okay.
And it was about this time that I came on, and then I opened the Parisi program. I launched the actual classes in December of 2015.
So you had success, right? Like you've been open for
15 years.
years, and then you're like, okay, we're going to bring in this Parisi program. Why? Like, why bring something in if you've been doing it pretty successful 15 years? You're like, okay, we're going to bring in this program. Like, what can you kind of talk a little bit about why?
Mhm.
Right? If it's not broke, why fix it?
Well, I think for me in particular, I really wanted to be part of something that was the future of our in our industry. Number one, I felt at the time 10 years ago, sports performance research and the things we were learning about speed and sports performance or being exposed to was the most prolific at that moment in time. And, you know, I didn't really think there's going to be a lot more with like fitness and strength training. Now, I don't mean like fascia is not a mind-blowing part of strength training, but it sits a little bit more in this performance world. I don't think if the performance and science of speed really being the most prolific, you know, like really cutting edge changes happening in that subsector within, if we just call it movement sciences, and fitness being like really the most profitable vertical in that space, right? Whether it's, you know, franchise-based fitness or boutique-based fitness or whatever. I really saw that this was like the most stimulating thing happening. If you really want to say that you are better and know more than other people, you can't just be teaching boot camp classes.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't just be doing interval work or doing HIIT work or...
And your gym had all of that.
Yeah, we had a good combination of everything.
Because that's what's crazy. Anytime I observe how from a distance, like there's something there's everything.
Yeah,
Something.
we're really lucky. And it is funny. And, you know, I do think that, you know, when I look for guidance and help from people who are like more consultants and experts from the outside in on my business, you know, they really do feel like I've got too many things going on, you know. And I think the evolution of all these things will eventually trim down a little bit as my future continues. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't think, I mean, I'm not going to leave Parisi or sports performance world, but I do think that the industry is changing. I do think that there's a couple different industries happening in this country. I think big city is just becoming really different than like small bedroom communities.
Yeah.
they're doing, from my understanding, like the smaller bedroom communities are doing really well in this space.
That's where I am right.
I think the big city, the big city is just, I think, not to make things about politics, I really thought that I was hopeful that things were just going to be so much better after the election, regardless of the outcome. Like all the anxiety about the election would be done, and it'd just be like everybody in the city would just be back to let's have a good economy.
There's nothing of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very anxious year last year in the city, and
it has been an outlet though for that, which has been
huge. But small businesses are not really thriving in my city, in my opinion. When I talk to my friends and my colleagues, it's really, really hard. It used to be that like Chicago was this place where was one of the, we were better than New York because small businesses really did well in the city. I don't mean like in the small ethnic neighborhoods. You're the ethnic grocery store. You're like the small little restaurant. But even those people are struggling big time in the Chicago market. And not to kind of derail the conversation from the Parisi.
So wherever you want it to go, it does not need to be about Parisi. We are filming at the Parisi. I'm sure people are getting used to the backdrop. We are filming at the Parisi Summit, Phoenix, Arizona. But we're here to talk with Katalin.
Yeah, so the business changed.
Yeah.
I knew that for sure where I was not the future of fitness. And while at that time, multiple franchises were popping up that only do that thing, and franchise fitness has really become very narrow, right? It's the row house. It's, maybe it's Barry's. It's only these one single kind of products. They do well. They're very uncomplicated, right? It's like one product. It doesn't really adapt to the consumer, doesn't have that like customization. And that's the difference between franchise and a small business, right? Where that it's just a different culture. So in any case, I knew moving forward that this was the future, and from a kind of be stimulated, be motivated, be passionate, be excited about going to work every day. I didn't want to just be with like the trends and the fads that while they were popular, they weren't really truthful, and they're not really honestly good.
Sticking effect is long term.
Yeah, I mean we know walking on a treadmill with 5-pound weights is not.
It's not moving the needle too long.
No.
Yeah.
And now I still have this like youth department, and I have this adult department, which both drive me equal. The big thing is I also am putting a lot more interest in really what it means to be fit and alive over 40 and over 50. And that's a really big thing. I've seen on my Instagram.
Which I love.
Yeah.
One that it's visible and that I'm seeing it. Algorithms. But is that something that's like a passion project for you right now? Is that just something that you're one passionate about, you want to do? Or is it two, like, this is something underserved? No one is talking about this. I know in Vermont, it's either 65 plus.
Right.
I know our dear friend Chad Coy calls it Silver Strong, right?
I love
that's what it is. It's like 65, 70, 75 plus, or it's kids, right? There's no one really in that middle, but it does matter.
It does. And I think that, for me, I think we all know if you are someone who likes kids do keep you really grounded, and they do keep you really honest in a different way, and they do keep you really young in a different way. Mm-hmm. But I think like a lot of people in business, and I don't know if it's everyone, but my life has evolved as my children have gotten older. Like you're in a phase right now where your children are young. There's things you don't know about yet because you're not there yet, right? Like I was talking to Ben from Texas, and he was like, how do you know where to even find parent websites about birthday parties? And I said, Ben, when your child turns 3, you are going to know exactly where all that information is in your area of Texas. I know where all that information is because I have 3 kids, and I went through not only going to a million birthday parties, but
what you need out of a birthday party, wow, it needs to be
exactly.
What
and
paying for convenience really looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now when my kids are not there, I'm in the full like teen blown you know, what college applications. Like I've matured to that phase. And then 4 years from now, I'll be done with that. And it'll be like, you know, all these things that have to do with college kids, right?
College.
It's fitness after college.
Which is a very real thing. I don't know.
Yes.
Parisi, if you've seen kids, when we talk about aging through Parisi,
and our
college is very real.
So let me tell you, as a 10-year-old facility now, last summer was a summer where I lost 11 athletes to college.
Yep.
And we hit the fall, and even though like all summer long, we're like, oh, college this, we're getting them ready, you know, they're going to play lacrosse, you know, this one wants to walk on, and like we just want to send them there so that like they make the team and they
have
crush
so much fun. Yep.
And then as a business owner, I got to like August dues, and I was like,
oh no,
holy shit, I just lost 11 memberships in one day.
Yeah.
In one day.
Like nutrition is real with college kids.
Yes.
And your success penalizes you.
Exactly. Now, it's amazing when they come back and see you during Thanksgiving break, right? So that's wonderful. But that was my first, even though I had sent kids off to college before, I had a little cohort of these kids that kind of like, I had them from that junior high age, and they kind of like were part of our program. And you look at our Instagram, you can probably figure out who they are because they're in every other post, you know, because they were so consistent through their 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th and all those years. And, you know, so there's things like that are this amazing experience that comes as a byproduct of Parisi. And the longer you're in an organization like this, you know, eventually it will be the next group of kids. But because my business is 25 years old, what is cool, I just had a guy named Brian bring his daughter, 5 years old.
That's humbling.
Yeah. So he was one of my students. Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, I have adults now that are my clients, that are my members, that were young adults, like either teenagers or kids or whatever. So the longer you're in business, obviously you see these amazing things, which is kind of the best part about being a coach. But back to like the adult vertical of like fit over 40, fit over 50, I think I kind of just woke up one day and, you know, a little bit being motivated by, you know, changes going on in my body. I'm in my mid-50s. So, I mean, it's like your body does change. And I was thinking back on like, what is the one thing that I've done without fail, consistently, since I was 18 years old? Progressive strength training.
Yeah.
And I kind of just, then all of a sudden last year was just reading more of the data and studying. And the truth is that there's been more money being put into researching women in pre and menopause phases, which is just code for saying women in their 40s and their 50s. You know, they make it.
As a 35-year-old male, I didn't need it.
But
preach it to me.
No, but my point being is they make it this big, like, daunting thing. Oh, it's pre-menopause and it's menopause, or it's just pretty much any woman in their 40s and 50s.
And do you think that becomes like an attack term when they say?
Totally.
Because I totally feel weird as a male who's never going to go through.
But you're going to go through a different hormonal change 45 to 60.
But I can take TRT.
But so do women. But women have to do that too often in the 50, you know, once they're in that postmenopause or menopause phase. My point is that
we could do a whole episode on malicious marketing phrases targeted towards the women in fitness.
Oh, yeah.
We might do part 2 on that.
But because honestly, there are some celebrities who have made it okay to talk about it. There's more people doing research on it. So now when you start looking at like what actually is an anti-aging strategy for women, it's progressive strength training. So then I kind of look back at like when I had my spine surgeries, when I had my babies, when I was pregnant, when I wasn't pregnant, when I was an athlete, when I was a competitor, when I was in a wheelchair for an injury. Like I still, no matter what, I still did strength training. You know, it's kind of like if my knee was injured, I still did upper body. If I couldn't move my shoulder and I was in a sling, I did lower body. Like I never stopped my strength training. So I feel like that has a lot to do with the success for me. You know, you can take all sorts of medications you want. It's not going to make your spine stronger. It's not going to make your posture better. It's not going to make it easier to carry and unload Costco because, you know, you have no help that day. Yeah, it is. For all the cases of water you buy when you're the mom for your kid's team that day and you have to run to Costco and get
12 pounds of oranges, 3 pineapples, 5 watermelons, and 17 cases of water.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have kids that play sport, it's not like you pull up to the field. Yeah, you like park in a parking lot, and then you got
every parent listening to this watch just going,
and then you got to carry all of it.
Yeah.
But and you know, my husband will always be like, "Aren't you going to get the boys to unload it?" I still got to carry a load to the boys to be like, "Hey, boys, come and unload the rest of my car."
Yeah.
So functional strength training and progressive strength training and athletic-based strength training, and then you add like our philosophies as Parisi. You know, I really think it is the best way to train because it's back to movement in every direction. And even though like maybe your average 47-year-old woman may not care about being athletic, at the end of the day, don't you want to be able to play with your kids?
Yeah.
I mean, what made me a really fun mom was that like I could literally go out and at a certain point they are better than you, but you want to be able to like run around with them.
Mortal Kombat. We'll get to Mortal Kombat, but you were also, I mean, a superhero. So we'll get to it.
But I will say, since Parisi's been in my gym, all our adult classes follow the same ADW and the same strategies. We just don't
sprint them 30 yards down the track.
Exactly. But our ADW is exactly the same. And then the difference is we don't do extended running progressions. It's like movement integrated with running progressions. So if you're coming to my gym and we're doing, it's not like the jump rope sequence or it's not something else and it's a track, we're on the track, we are doing 5-yard lateral shuffle, open up to a sprint, decel at the end of the track, come back, do it again. Lateral shuffle, crossover step, open up to a sprint, decel at the end of the track. Skip, pogo. We're just not doing a million reps of it. We're doing enough of it to
taper down to the population.
Taper down to the population. And the ones who can't do it, they walk the track or they lateral step the track. So, you know, we've been infused with the philosophies of Parisi. And honestly, I think things like doing the ground series for 10 years, 4 to 5 days a week, every time I work out, that compounding exponential effect of
absolutely does
glute health, hip health, groin health,
pelvic
stability. So for someone who had years of PT, 4 spine surgeries, tons of damage, I actually think that is what's kind of rectified.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that because I've said this on a couple different podcast episodes. I'm very fortunate to be 21 and learn from Bill, Martin, and John. Like, that's just lucky.
Sure.
I was just lucky to be dumb and impressionable. And these guys are like, this is how you train and it makes sense and you should do it. So I start working with a 55-year-old or whoever. Literally my first client was a 42-year-old woman who had a rod in her spine from a motorcycle accident. And I'm over here like, well, that was an athlete. She's like, oh, I'm like an athlete. I'm like, well, okay, we'll figure it out. We scaled the Parisi methodology down to her.
Yeah.
And just doing the warm up and then basic strength training and finding out what doesn't hurt and just being really good at that. It's crazy how we see train to win, Parisi, running man, athlete, but good training. I think this is something what Chad Coy has always said. Good training is good training.
Yeah.
And if it's just matched to the right person in the right situation.
Right. And I look at it like making adjustments and accommodations for adults who have injury. Like, you know, I have a woman that hernia, like, so now there's like that lack of core stuff going on that, you know, PT took her so far.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I always say, you know, like, look, you're going to have to reach into the back of your car and pick up your bag because you left it there and you need something in it. And if you can't rotate and lift and do that and then bring that movement forward, you're just going to like rip that scar tissue. So like you don't need to start with that explosive med ball whip up against the wall, but you know, you do need to rotate if you're expecting to get healthier.
Yeah.
In that
Can't go away.
it can't go away. So making an adjustment for her would be no different than if you had a kid who pitched too many innings this weekend and needs some regressions and can't do certain things with their shoulders that day. Like, so it's still the same consideration. It's still being thoughtful of the people that you're working with. Even if you are excluding something for an individual that's an adult, you would do the same thing for the athlete. So I think it is also, are you mindful? Are you a considerate person? Or is the training agenda about you?
Yeah.
Like, you wrote it down on the paper and it can't change, you know, and we have a very simple process in our gym that your programs get written on dry erase boards. Because what can you do once you write something down on a dry erase board?
You can erase and adjust or modify.
Just erase it.
Yeah.
So like that's a ritual in our gym, even though we use other tools to bring programming together. And the reason why I have everybody do that is because it's a ritual that you are being thoughtful about what's going to happen in that class. And then when you look at the roster and you see that person's in class, you're forced to kind of write down in parentheses already what that person's going to do, you know, comprehensively, not every single second of the class. So Parisi's been the best thing I've ever added to my business. I mean, granted, I had to relocate my business to expand and have this like totally robust division dedicated to youth athletes. But my adults for sure are better movers because of it. And I do think that we have extremely low injuries.
And I like the phrase you just said there, better movers. I first heard that phrase from Eric Cressy, where we talked about, he was doing a presentation on youth performance. And he just said, like, we just try to make our kids better movers for when they get to the next level, whatever that is. If it's higher level baseball, if it's higher level soccer, they're switching sports, they play multiple sports. If we can just make them better movers, they will have more opportunities later on. And that same thing holds true for adults. If you can move well at 35, 45, 55, 65, your opportunities later in life are just magnified.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is, you know, when people are like, well, like, what do you really focus on? I am in the pursuit of skill acquisition. I want to acquire skills as I get older. As I age, if my skills continue to increase, I can do so much more in my life. And I do like using my kids as a good example. You know, they were raised obviously in the Parisi system and required to take classes and so forth. And of course, become like your demo kids and all that other kind of stuff. And while they all had things they wanted to do with their athletics in high school, all three of them picked up a sport they had never played their entire life, their freshman year of high school. Doesn't mean they're the first and the best on the team.
Yeah.
But
the opportunity.
But my freshman never played lacrosse in his life. He made the freshman team. My junior and my senior right now started as freshmen. My one boy never played volleyball in his life. My daughter never played lacrosse in her life. They were in other sports, but they were raised in Parisi. They both are on varsity.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're number one on the team. That part's irrelevant. But because they had these skills, they acquired these skills. It opened doors for them to try other skills.
Yeah.
And I am telling my son now, like, you have two, like, very well-ranked players on your team right now. And yeah, you're going to sit more than they do. But you're on varsity again. And guess what's going to happen when you go to college? You're going to be an amazing recreational player, and it's going to open doors for you to play. This is another bond you can make with someone else. This is instant connection.
Yeah.
You show up on the campus, you can't find anyone that's your new friend of the day. Just go to open volleyball.
Yeah.
And guess what? You know how to play.
Yeah.
You know how to be a teammate. You were the captain when you were on JV. You clearly have Like that's a skill that will open a door in the future. So that's what I mean by you'll never regret the skills your kids acquire through Parisi. Even if they never use them in a sport, they will move better for the rest of their life. You fast forward, 10 years, they're going to have just better movement capabilities. They're less likely when your daughter has children, she'll have a stronger spine. Her hips will be healthier. She'll recover faster. There's all these things that are byproducts of being a quality mover and really having the skill of movement. So that's something that I really try to, joke around with parents. Like at the end of the day, when you're doing our evals and you're talking to a parent, just say, look, you're never going to regret that your kid's stronger because he came here. You're never going to look back and go, man, I can't believe this made my kid so strong.
Yeah.
I can't believe they know how to run.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever said that to a parent.
I say it all the time.
Yeah. Just in personal training with adults, you won't regret learning how to lift weights better.
No, you won't.
We won't regret that. You won't regret understanding how to use gym equipment to hotel gym.
Yeah.
Figure out what to do when they have 2 bikes, 2 treadmills, and dumbbells to 70 pounds.
And you have an automatic program. I did.
It's in the hotel.
I did.
No, it's tough. It's tough. It's the size of a box of a truck or something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But you know how to do it. You can put together something, and that's you said skill acquisition. It's another skill there as well. Can we pivot?
Yeah.
Or can we talk about it?
Talk about what?
What you didn't say in your introduction.
Okay.
Do you want to elaborate on your experience in martial arts?
Sure.
What your background is?
Sure. I'm a 4-time black belt.
Certified badass. Let's go.
I played a little role.
Yeah. Well, 4-time black belt in the same
4 different arts.
4 different arts.
Mm-hmm.
Black belt in 4. How long does that take? I want to put some context behind it because I know this about you, but I don't know if we've ever really dived into it. I've always spent some time because...
Okay, started when I was 9. I never quit except for 1 year, and that was my senior year of high school.
Why did you quit? Senior year of high school is...
It was actually the summer before my senior year. Yeah. So the junior...
So you were like, I'm done?
I'm like, I'm never doing this again.
Oh, wow.
I hate this.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that's only one of them, though. That's impressive. It's only one of them.
1 year. Mm-hmm. And then I had no identity when I showed up to college, did not know what to do. So then I was like, oh, they have a Taekwondo school in town. So I went there and then I got a black belt there after I got a black belt in karate.
Wow.
So I didn't know what to do.
So do you start, if you're a black belt in karate, and you go to Taekwondo, do you start at a white belt?
Yes.
And
you would never walk in and be like, I do karate. Because there was so much prejudice.
Yeah.
Traditionally.
I would think it's like learning a language.
It would be like, it's almost like the days when before like dance became so cool and all these hybrid dancers. Okay. But like a classical ballerina in the 80s and the 90s would never be also taking hip hop. And if they were, they would never tell their ballet instructor. And the hip hopper would never say, hey, I'm taking ballet in tow.
So you show up to...
It was not cool.
Wow, here's my first day. I have never done anything like this. I wonder how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Really? That's...
And then I did it again.
That's 4 times.
Well, by the time I did the 4th one, that they knew what.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is a certified badass walk.
Well, I did.
So happy she's here.
So no, but then after the Taekwondo, I actually did that at a different karate school.
That is,
and then just kind of showed up and was like
la-di-da. Like I just see it. Here comes 20 or 18-year-old because you're college. You said freshman.
Yeah, I was
just walking in like la-di-da. Huh?
I was like, what's dancer? I was like, I did ballet.
Wow. Did they ever were they ever just like, hey, cat, like
a lot of Taekwondo schools, I mean, they're just factories. They're just like busted through.
Okay. All right.
It was kind of, so I'm not going to lie. It was definitely like lying and saying that you don't speak Spanish in your home and then you sign up for like Spanish 101.
Yeah.
And then you just get an A.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I guess I'll take Spanish 102. And then you just
That's a good analogy.
And then you just get an A again. I'd be like, oh, okay, sure. I'll,
But I mean, it's
still different.
Stick with something though. Like having worked with some athletes that have gone through martial arts, they're black belts. Like the level of discipline, the level of consistency to stick with something that's not just given. You don't just show up and just earn different stripes, different levels, different belt. Like you have to do it. You have to do the thing. I love that about martial arts. You have to do the thing.
Right.
You don't get a participation.
There's people that stay in it and then they go for like degrees of black belts. I was like
next. What can I do?
I was like, oh, learn something new.
First word on the Parisi podcast wasn't me.
I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn something else.
Yeah.
And I really did think of it like dance and an instrument. I was like, I've been playing guitar now for this long. I want to learn the drums.
That's cool.
But obviously there's so much crossover, and I just wanted, I looked at like, I want to learn another language.
Gosh, learning like a new language.
I totally wanted another language. I was like, I don't want to learn more in this. I want to learn a completely different language. And then I just kept going. And then all the combat sports became a lot more available.
You were doing combat sports before combat sports were cool.
Probably.
You were like from like the early unregulated MMA days.
Except women were really not allowed to do it. So you had to find like people that would teach you things that women weren't allowed to be a part of.
Wild.
Yeah. It was,
and this is like...
80, like 80...
That long ago.
Yeah, like 86, 87, 88, 89, 90.
That long ago. 35 to 38 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. That's crazy how far that level of sport. I mean, now MMA is like, and the martial arts are like, it's the thing. Like, it's specialized in that. Like,
oh, sure.
Crazy. It's become what every other mainstream sport is because it's now mainstream.
Yeah, and there's a lot of amazing outlets for kids for martial arts. And what's really cool about martial arts is I always tell people, even though obviously martial arts schools want to keep kids all year round dedicated, is it's never going to interfere with another sport. Like, you can really be a great soccer player, and if you're doing martial arts, it's not going to interfere. It'd be hard to be a soccer player and play tackle football and pursue both. And then when you get to high school, you can't if you're a boy because they're the same season.
Yep.
Right? So there are some moments in your athletic career where you really have to choose one sport over another.
That is great.
Whereas martial arts, combat sports, you can kind of always do it. You can always come back to it. And you can actually almost always come back to it and still achieve a high level and then regress because you're not doing it, but then acquire that again. And that's what's kind of cool about martial arts. Like, you can have done Taekwondo when you were a kid, and then you're now 30 years old and be like, you know what? I'm going to pick up Muay Thai. That just seems really great. It's not the same, but it'd be really hard to have played soccer until you were 13 and then think you're going to just go play a soccer at a rec league at 30 and have never touched.
Yeah.
You could, but martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, all these there are arts that are really hard to go back into because the body it's hard to pick up acrobatics as an adult that's never done acrobatics because some styles are very acrobatic.
If you saw me try to do it right now, you'd be concerned for my health.
I would. I would.
I know you. I'm
like, if you all of a sudden wanted to like spar a judo guy, I would be like, oh my God, you are going to break your wrist or your shoulder.
If you saw me try to just kick, you'd be like, what's wrong with you?
But you could start boxing and be very good at it in a relatively short period of time, in that you would be gratified by it. It would fill your cup. And then you could decide if you were going to pursue it at a more higher serious level, but gain all the fitness benefits of it is what I mean.
So you have 4 black belts.
Yeah.
And then you started talking about your little role.
So
there's a little role that came up.
Yeah. So I played Katana Melina and Jade in Mortal Kombat 2.
So awesome. Does that get old? Are you tired of it?
Well, it's funny. There's been a little bit of a resurgence in the last couple years in the popularity of the game, and the fanfare is pretty big.
Mortal Kombat is a childhood classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like the real life. You're the person you're the video game.
Yes. And they're like, everything is kind of like, stems from those characters, and the and the franchise obviously is massive.
Yeah.
But what is really cool about the Mortal Kombat original cast is there was so much contribution in the creation of the character because we had to do the things. Like, we just did what we do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's a guy by the name of Daniel Pacina. He plays Johnny Cage, and the male ninjas like Sub-Zero, Reptile, Scorpion, and so forth. He's been our ringleader for over 30 years. And he has kept the fans in touch with us as characters, which in turn has kept kind of the love of the game alive in a different way than you're like, you love Pac-Man. Right? Because there's a person attached to the characters you love. And he's the one that was like, you've got to come and do some of our touring and events. It's like, yeah. And then maybe 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I'll do it. He's like, and because I didn't do anything and they're going out there, they're going to Europe and South America and all these places, you know, my character is like, nobody's got my signature and nobody's got like that stuff. And I did like one event. It was like, wow, a lot of people are here. You know, it was like 6 hours nonstop of something.
Really a big deal that you had.
But now when we're together, people just love it. So he pushes me to do different events. So like I did one in New York,
Is that
Pennsylvania.
Zone? Like, is it?
No, it's not, doesn't make me uncomfortable at all. I was just kind of like, nobody really cares. Like, who knows? I mean, but then doing these events with him made me realize.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So the question, so I wanted to get that out. So it was left out of your introduction, which I love when people introduce it. I'm like,
I had a nice little.
We'll get in there.
Yeah, I had a nice little career doing that, and I did some other games. I worked for Atari for a while. I did some of the early, like some of the original 3D motion capture for a product called Slam Band, which was Sugar Ray Leonard's boxing.
There you go.
Yeah, so I like did a little bit of this. I did a couple stunts.
So that's
things that were like fun.
Like the doors that boxing and martial arts has opened for you.
Amazing.
Like, if you've shared a couple, I don't know if there's anything else that jumps off the top.
I have honestly had the greatest career a martial artist could ever have.
Some pretty big name martial, like Bruce Lee. We're trained with Bruce Lee.
No, but what I mean by that is I have trained with some of the best people. I've acquired some of the greatest skills. I've worked in entertainment. I'm an instructor. Yeah. I teach people. Yeah. I've traveled the world as an ambassador to teach in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Japan, Taiwan, Aruba, Mexico, all because of martial arts.
Are you the Michael Jordan of martial arts?
No.
Chicago reference for you.
No, I know.
But maybe?
No. No, not at all. Not at all. But my point is that because of this, finally my mom giving in to letting me take my first karate class, I've like written for magazines, starred in videos. I mean,
if you Google your name, a lot comes up.
Yes, I've done a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Have you Googled your name?
Not lately.
Well, people will Google it. I can't wait to run this through AI and let it create the caption of all of the stuff. But
I haven't done that.
Oh, it's great. Because it finds all the cool.
A lot of different things.
It's amazing. But
Wikipedia has me younger than I am.
It's even better.
You know, I actually tried.
Your Wikipedia page?
I did read my Wikipedia page, and I did submit to them. Hey, I just want to let you know this is me. This is actually that's not my age, and this and this and that. And they rejected my submission.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they know?
Well, I mean, it's not that hard. Like, here's my email. Here's I said, here's how you can fact check me. Like, you know, when you own a gym.
This number, yeah, you're right.
Like, when you own a gym or something like that, you can't really hide that. Like, just go to LinkedIn. Like, it's either me or it's not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was prepping for podcast episodes, and I was like, oh, we're going to do Katalin. I always just Google people's names to see what comes up while I was in the gym, just some background information that I may not know, little tidbits. Yours is extensive.
There's a lot.
A lot and different.
But like
all the articles in the magazines, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But that was some of the greatest times of my life.
What do you think opened the door? Is it just because you were there? Like what?
So I will
open the doors.
It wasn't Mortal Kombat. I'll tell you that. What opened my door was, honestly, I was talking to Ben Jones about this, is I believed in strength training for martial artists, and it was an unheard of concept. You would never do strength training. Not to mention, martial arts schools could not facilitate, accommodate logistically what that is. Like, they're small spaces, you know what I mean?
Hardwood spaces are like in dance studios.
So I wrote an article on strength training for the martial artists, I think, and I got it published in Inside Kung Fu magazine. And he actually finally would publish my stuff. I had been bugging him and bugging him and bugging him. And he finally saw that this was the future of martial arts. That led to another article, then I became a columnist. Then he had Inside Karate and Inside Kung Fu. Then he became the editor of Black Belt magazine. And then I just wrote for all this. And then then UFC got big. Grappling magazine was a thing. It was becoming bigger. And then I covered UFC for 5 years as a independent features writer for them for 5 years. And I covered boxing for a bilingual magazine. So I got to follow Hector Camacho, interview Oscar De La Hoya, Andrew Galata, Lennox Lewis, Rich Franklin, Tito Ortiz, like the original greats of that generation that made UFC like filled with superstars. Got to do all of it.
That's so cool.
And it had nothing to do whether or not I could punch or kick. Now, the article that I wrote because I could punch and kick that got me an Inside Kung Fu, and Dave Cater, that editor, was like, okay, kid, let's give you a shot at this. Then, but when I did like UFC, I covered boxing, all that kind of stuff. It had, sitting ringside or cage side, with all the other media and then doing all that. That was just awesome. It was just absolutely awesome.
Is it the skill of consistency or the skill of persistence?
A little bit of both. I grew a ton from it. I did get better every time I wrote.
Yeah. It's not easy writing. I think people are like, like in the fitness space, people are like, I want to write. I want to do this.
I actually think it's harder right now because there's no such thing as an editor relationship. So I was a great writer because I had a great editor.
Yeah.
I submitted and be like, what do you think of this? Am I on the right, path?
Am I getting there?
Am I getting there? You know what, let's put a little bit more work. I think I'm going to bump it for another issue. I'd really like to see if you can get another quote or you go do this.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, hey, what about if I go down to, Cincinnati and I spend 3 days with Rich Franklin? What do you think? Do you think that'd be a good story? And then I'd be like, hey, Rich, can I come down? And then that's where it got amazing because then I'd be like, Rich, can I just train with you? And then I would train with these superstars. Hector Camacho let me train and go with him while he was in the gym preparing to fight Oscar De La Hoya. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
This is, in like today's world, we feel like someone's going to be live and streaming and vlogging this experience, but
yeah, I photographed it and then I sent
a thing.
And then I sent the film.
You're photographing it.
Yeah, and then I would send the film to Walgreens to process it. And then I would send my, spec pictures out and be like, okay, what negatives do you want me to send out for the article? And it was great. And I wasn't a great photographer, but I was, you had to kind of take the pictures yeah. And it was really, really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. I knew there was some more to that side, but I wanted to.
But that made me really smart in this space of cross training, being a good martial
industry expert. You train with all levels. You've gone yourself. You've done it for yourself.
I have.
Right? I have. It was in the pudding.
Yeah. So But writing about that, listening to what they were doing. Oscar de la Hoya's actually training back then was really progressive, very much in the forefront of, he's working with very good people at that time. Camacho was still kind of doing more of like the traditional boxing thing. But you know what was interesting about Hector Camacho is he was a black belt in karate. And he would practice his karate and he would use his karate. So when you talk about like now this fascia and stuff like that, you combine a boxer who's already throwing med balls, who's already rotating like crazy, who's jumping ropes. So we talk about stiffness and explosivity in a very, like what we are seeing here at the event. Then you add someone who's like also a martial artist and doing all that single leg balance work. Like he had a formula that was really successful for him. Whereas like Oscar de la Hoya at that time was working with like strength coaches and doing things that were very progressive for boxers. Boxers were by and large not an athlete that lifted weights. They threw med balls and bags and sand. So kind of that farmer strength, everything that we're talking about here, but they were putting more of that other stuff in there. They've always sprinted up hills and they've always,
a calisthenic driven sport.
So it was really cool to kind of like be around people that were doing that. Rich Franklin was very progressive in his training. GSP, very progressive in his training. So there were some guys at the very beginning that they were doing more than what was traditionally being done by that type of.
Guy like GSP was top of the pyramid for years.
Absolutely. He for sure was doing things way better than everyone else, and that it was progressive and it was forward thinking in integrating all sorts of other types of training modalities, I guess I should say. So to be around all that and kind of in the know, I would just be like, I'm taking that back to my gym. I'm going to use that in my classes. That just made me just so much more exposed. Kind of like how we are here, we're getting exposed to things that aren't going to be in Shape magazine.
Yeah.
Because it's not sexy enough yet. It's not going to be, even though we had that Men's Health article on the fascia stuff, people still don't really get it,
I don't fully even get it.
Yeah, and I get it because I do it all the time. In daily, like really do it all the time. So, for us here at this conference to be getting like how to infuse, how to implement into your classes with kids and stuff like that, we are way ahead of everyone else. And that's why I added Parisi, because I knew I wanted to still be there because I was done with MMA. I was done with the UFC scene. I wasn't writing anymore. I wasn't in the know. And I was like, I want to be back in the know. I was just trying to survive having babies and raising them and all that kind of stuff. And, I stopped covering UFC when my daughter was born about then. And it was just more like I had 3 toddlers. Like, you can only do so much.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to be away as much. So that's what kind of pulled me to the Parisi community, I guess.
Yeah. This was an awesome conversation.
Cool.
Was this everything you thought it was going to be?
Everything.
This is the best. Just sit down, turn the camera on, let's just talk.
That's right. Low expectations, but over-deliver.
I love it.
Yeah.
I set the expectations very low.
You did.
I don't know if I deliver anything, but the expectations are still very low. At least they match.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
This is awesome. Thanks, Kat.
You're welcome.